It's the game show everybody's talking about. It's time for True or Tribe. I read the stories and you guess which one is the fake. At the end of the show, I'll reveal yesterday's fake story and see if you guys guessed it right. Happy birthday if today's your birthday, and on with the show. To preface this story, I teach gymnastics in a very affluent part of a very, very big city in Southern California. You know the one. Most of the kids I work with are either Russian or Israeli and speak Russian or Hebrew. I've encountered a lot of entitled people in my time at this gym, most of them irritating and not worth posting about. But there's one Russian mum who is absolutely off her rocker. My boss has some experience with her and doesn't put up with her BS. So the cast: myself, insane mum, and Kay, her poor son. Every school year we have day camps where about 30 kids come to the gym and we play games, practice gymnastics, generally mess around. Our camps are really popular and usually fill up at least a week in advance. Additionally, we allow parents to use their kids' missed classes as credit towards a day camp for a reduced rate. This particular day of camp, I was working at the front desk and we were slammed. I'd already turned multiple walk-ins away because we were over capacity for USAG regulations, which is in violation of our insurance policy. Around 2 hours after camp started, about 11 AM, kid walks in the front door by himself. This is weird for two reasons. One, because parents are supposed to come inside and sign their kids in and out. Two, because EM sent us an email the night before that explicitly instructed us not to enroll Kay in camp and not to charge her card. So I asked Kay to run outside and ask his mum to please come in so I can sort things out. He opens the door, yells back and forth with her in Russian for a bit, and closes the door. As EM drives away, Kay tells me that EM is going to call me. Great. This is how the most insane phone conversation of my life went. EM from an anonymous number, might I add. What? Hi, I just wanted to speak with you because I'm a bit confused. Last night you sent us an email instructing us to not enroll Kay in the camp. Yes, because last time you enrolled him you charged my card $65. One day of the camp. And you stole my money! Ma'am, that is how much one full day of camp costs. I'm going to have to ask you to come pick up your son because we're at capacity for the day. No, there's no way your camp is full. I unenrolled him last night when I sent you the email. Yes, and we had a walk-in this morning that took his spot. No, I sent that email at 10 last night. There's no way your camp is full between now and then. Actually, we had the last spots taken by a few walk-ins this morning, so we are full. You can't just drop your son off here without paying after instructing us not to enroll him. There's no way your camp is full. I sent that email at 10 last night. 5 full minutes of me trying to explain to her how spots are limited, and when she gave Kay's spot up, it became available for the first person to walk in. Eventually, she seems to get it. Okay, that makes sense. Extended pause. Well, you'll just have to call one of those other parents and tell them that you made a mistake, and they need to come get their child, because Kay is special and has been taking classes there for a while, and he deserves it. Excuse me? That's not how this works. Kay lost his spot when you told us to unenroll him. Kay deserves to be there. He's more important than the other kids and has been there longer. So you can call their parents and tell them you made a mistake. No, you need to come get your child. But I made plans. I'm sorry, but we don't have room for him because you specifically told us not to enroll him. Because last time you stole from me. You took $65 from me. I work hard for my $65. That's how much one day of camp costs. No, I wanted to use makeups, and you charged my card $65 and stole it from me. Ma'am, we don't know you want to use makeups unless you come in and tell us. Most people just use them for another class. Oh, that makes sense. Yes, I'm going to need you to come pick Kay up. But I have to work. I thought she made plans. I understand that, but we don't have room for Kay. It's against USAG regulations for us to take him. So you can either come get him, or I can have my boss call you. No, I don't want to talk to your boss. Then you need to come get Kay. I can't, I have to work. Fine, I'll have my boss call you. I don't want to talk to your boss. Either you can come get Kay, or I can have my boss call you. I don't want to talk to your boss. Okay, this conversation is unproductive. I'll have my boss call you. I hung up and called my boss as promised. Her kids still come to class, but she's banned from bringing them to camp unless she walks them in and pays at the beginning of the day. She still constantly brings them in an hour before our half day starts and asks me if I'll be charging her for a half day instead of full. And I always politely tell her that no, I'll be charging her for the full day. Now she just speaks to her kids in Russian and has them talk to me for her. Oh, the classic child abandonment. These parents get hit with their own logic. They're like, no one would be crazy enough to abandon a child, so if I leave my child there, they have to take responsibility for them. Wait, don't you see that you just did that very thing you're hoping that they're not going to do? It's like you're saying, well, I hope they're a reasonable, responsible human being, unlike myself. Do you know what a normal person would have done? They would have gone to them and said, hey, look, I've actually got these spare classes and you charged me the $65. Could I actually get that $65 back? And if they wanted to keep you as a happy customer, they probably would have said yes. I don't know if this quarantine has made my bullcrap tolerance lower or if it's bringing out the worst in people, but I think today I met a wild Karen and her evil spawn. I'm not one for confrontation and rarely respond, but she got the best of me. I was out for my weekly supply run at a pretty big supermarket, filled my cart till I struggled making any curves, and went to check out. There was only this one person in front of me, whom we shall obviously call Karen and her kid, EK. I respect the distance and stay back as she takes her sweet time putting her groceries on the checkout line. That's not an issue, I had nowhere else to be. The cashier was not ringing anything up, which was a bit odd. EK starts taking stuff and throwing it back in the cart while laughing hysterically. His mum doesn't say anything, just smiles at him, and she continues what now seems pretty futile, as EK is just filling up the cart again. This goes on for about 10 minutes and I'm getting frustrated, so I let out a sigh thinking my mask would cover it. I was more frustrated than I thought. It did not. They both stopped and looked at me and the beautiful long as heck line forming behind me, but say nothing. EK stares me down as he approaches the front of my cart and starts slowly pushing it towards me with his foot. I don't say anything. He's just a kid. Just smile and let him be. I put my foot behind one of the wheels so he can't move the cart and leave him be. EK keeps messing with my cart until I get a tad bit annoyed and politely ask his mum to get her kid. Karen stares me up and down and says, fine, sorry my kid is just being a kid and playing because he's bored. I guess you're just not a good person, and I don't want my baby around your bad influence. And she puts him in her cart. Through the duration of this whole ordeal that followed, he glares at me and screams at the top of his lungs some gosh darned children's song. At times I considered dialing up my priest. Finally, she had finished unloading her cart, and as the cashier started ringing her up, Karen starts screaming, "What are you doing? Stop it at once! I need you to look at my groceries and tell me my total before scanning them. I only have $50. The poor cashier looked stunned. You could read his face. I saw a lot of crap, but this one is on some new type of level. He was trying to answer, but no words were coming out. I bursted out laughing at this point. The following conversation ensues. What's your problem? It's your job, do your job. What's my total? Ma'am, I'm really sorry, but I can't know your total before I scan everything. I can start scanning, and when it hits $50, I can stop. No, that's not what I asked. This is your job. You should know prices for everything. Take out your phone and calculate my total. Ma'am, I'm very sorry, but I cannot do that. It would take a very long time, and there is already a long line waiting. Karen looks at the line of ticked off people, sighs angrily, while saying, "Fine, start scanning." and starts putting stuff back while the cashier is scanning. Some cheese on top of Skittles, some bread near the condoms. She pretty much fills that shelf above the checkout line with her stuff. I am very annoyed but still say nothing. The cashier finishes scanning, and after putting back half her stuff, her total is a bit over $30. She pays and puts her bags in the cart for her EK to rampage through, and I start unloading my cart. You thought it was over? So did I. It was not. Stop! Did I say I was finished? I am not finished. I just roll my eyes and start laughing. Karen towards the cashier. Is there any farm animal food in here? Yes, ma'am, in the far right corner. Of course you put it there. Now it's gonna take me forever to get some. Now facing me with a death stare and with the snottiest of tones. See, I told you I wasn't finished. It's still my turn and I need animal feed. Be right back. As she starts walking towards me in the loudest, so I could cover her still squealing son, nicest voice I could produce at this point, I say, stop. No, we've waited long enough. Also, as I see it from here, you've got enough food for yourself. No need for more. You know, hoarding is bad and all. You would need some decency, but they don't sell it here. So please, can all of us just go on with our own day? She was definitely not expecting an answer, so I got a surprised Pikachu face. After, she got so red. I thought a vein might pop out, but seeing the huge crowd behind me, burst out laughing. She simply says nothing and storms off, huffing and puffing. I got such a headache right now, and still get annoyed when I remember their entitlement. Sorry to all the animals I offended. I've been training to fight with wooden swords I carve for a few years now, and I had my first random challenger today. I was practicing in my backyard with my face mask on. A few important things to know for later is there is a large tree in the center of my backyard, and from the upper right to the lower left, there is a line that divides the yard into a rocky section and a grassy section. There is also a concrete patio with a grill and a table. By the travel is a large red bucket with many weapons sticking out of it, all ones I carved. Also, I was kind of on edge because I did a tarot reading for myself the morning before it happened, and it pretty much told me to be cautious and watch out for those you can tell are dark. Anyways, with the scene set, let us start. I was casually practicing with my two favorite short swords when I saw a kid and his mum walk by without face masks on. The kid stopped and watched. This boy was probably 15 to 16, as he had a school shirt that indicated him as a sophomore. He seemed transfixed when I looked at him. When my arms were tired, I stopped and saw that he and his mum were watching. I looked at them and nodded slightly to acknowledge them, without talking as I was trying to regain my breath. I then noticed the mum had the classic Karen look. Haircut, expensive glasses, and the works. Hey Beardy, do you teach classes? I took a second to regain my breath before I said anything. Yes, I have a beard because I haven't needed to shave it. Never taught official classes, but I used to teach the neighborhood kids last summer for a huge fake Hunger Games. The fake Hunger Games were a tradition every summer in my cul-de-sac since I moved in. I was pretty much the best because Jason, a 17-year-old who has a special staff that is the only non-wood weapon allowed, a staff made from a plastic pipe. I trained pretty much just to beat him. And I got good enough to beat not only him, but everyone else in the cul-de-sac. The boy was freaking out a bit due to him seeming to love the Hunger Games. Can I fight you? This was amusing to hear as I never was challenged before. I was the one used to challenging people. I smiled and laughed a bit. Well, I'd love to, but because of the virus, we shouldn't get close, and swords are for close combat. The mum seemed annoyed. She looked at me and said the most stupid thing so ever freaking heard, and trust me, I know how bullcrap it is, because the virus was a huge topic we often discussed in my microbiology class. Us white Christians don't need to worry about it. God sent the virus down to cleanse the world of non-believers, other races, those who are mentally ill, and those who are gay. It won't hurt us believers. I was kinda used to hearing bullcrap like that, but nothing that intense. I wasn't Christian at all, but I was raised one. I then realized I was wearing an old shirt from my church my family used to go to, because I wore it to sleep due to it being comfy, and forgot to swap shirts in the morning. I realized it would be awkward to say I ain't a Christian, suffering from ADHD, and that I am bi, especially to a lady that could be high on weed. I live in Colorado and it's always a possibility. I was kinda mad, but I can't really show emotions well. I try to say something that won't make her mad at me. Sorry, but I just don't want to take any risks. The Karen seemed somewhat mad. She pulls a wallet out and pulls $5 from it. I'll give you $5 to fight him. I bet you can't beat him. Her challenging me was a bad choice, as I was someone who used to spend hours beating bosses that you shouldn't beat in games. Plus, money is a motivator, and I haven't had a good fight in a while. Fine, I'll fight him. We can either fight till submission, or a 3-hit kill rule. Also, don't yell at me if he gets hurt. I was used to 3-hit, but I could withstand a fight till submission. I look at the boy. He was kind of muscular, but not too much to worry me that he'd easily overpower me. I look back at the Karen. He won't get hurt. Now what do you want to do, son? I'll fight him till submission. Are you sure? This way of fighting risks injury more. Yeah. Come on in then. The boy enters my backyard and so does his mum. He looks through the weapons and chooses a huge staff which I called the Rally Club. It was 6 feet long and mainly only used for tricks. A friend tried to use it before and I used 2 daggers. I just held it off with both while approaching him before poking him 3 times. I shake my head, remembering that. I recommend using a different weapon. That one is slow and is only able to be used well after serious training. The boy nods and puts it back before pulling out the 2 most dangerous wood swords I'd made, and they belonged more to my sister as they were the only ones she used. They were heavy long swords that I made to fit her style, and she used only one at a time. He looks to me and I shake my head. Sorry, those are kinda dangerous when used by people that haven't trained with them before. Karen steps in. I'm sure he can use them. You play Beat Saber, right, Brandon? I realized Brandon was her son's name and smiled. Yeah, but these are heavy. He puts them back. This story. He puts them back and I set out a few weapons for him to try. He soon settles on having a primary set of a long sword and a short sword. One of them was one of my favorite ones. And having a dagger as a weapon to use in case he was unarmed. I grabbed 2 thinner short swords and 2 of my thicker daggers. The daggers were just normally a thing just to make me feel comfortable and not worry about being defenseless if he disarms me. Ready? Yeah, I am. We proceed to get on the opposite sides of the yard and count down together. Once we got to 0, he charges at me. I walk forward and get ready. He did, however, do something I didn't expect. He threw the dagger at my face. I partially blocked it, but the move caused my glasses to fall off. I was suddenly glad I practiced sometimes without my glasses on. It was hard though, as he managed to strike me twice while I only got him once because I was getting used to them being off. He did retreat when I got his thigh though. I walk forward and he charges again. I was, however, ready, but couldn't tell if he picked up the dagger while retreating, so I assumed he had it. Only reason I didn't try grabbing my glasses was because that would leave me open. He tries for the double overhead, but I block. I hear the sound of wood cracking. The swords were unsafe now, so I tossed them aside, jumped back and pulled my daggers out. I was going to be more careful. I charge, mad that he broke the sword that I trained with many times. I block his attacks while dealing my own. I disarm him in the process and he runs. He ends up grabbing the Rally Club. He held it the same way my friend did. He charges and I do the combo that I made. He charges and I do the combo that I made for this sort of combat situation. I ready my left dagger to my right, making an upside down V. He tries to jab it with like a spear, so I push it to the side, get him once in the wrist, once in each forearm, and a final time in his left shoulder. I then disarm him and point a dagger at his neck. This had tired me out, obviously. I honor your valor, but you seem to have lost. Do you submit? Yeah, dude, chill, I submit. I relax for a second before jumping as the Karen yells at me. How dare you hurt my son? She grabbed him, hugged him, and then looked at me like I was a murderer. I thought you wouldn't be mad. Also, you can keep the money. It was a good battle. Yeah, Mum, let's just go home. Karen cut him off and pulled her phone out. I sigh and look at her, deciding I'll drop the bomb here. If you're going to be mad that your son lost to a bi dude that has ADHD, then you can leave. She looked at me in shock. She dragged her son away from me. Wait, are you a R-word? Why do your caretakers let an R like you see the sun and walk among us normal people? I always hated those that bullied me because of my ADHD, but only a few had dared call me that word. I take all my rage and bottle it up so I can stay calm. I've learned to live with the normal world. Now look, you've pushed me far enough today. Get out of here. The Karen dragged her now quiet son out of the backyard, and they continued their walk in silence. I was glad I beat the kid, but I encountered him this morning when he knocked on the door alone, and he now had a mask on. Hey dude. Hey, sorry about yesterday. I have to do whatever my mum says, or she gets mad and yells at me at home. Don't worry. I recommend you train on your own some. Yeah, you really beat me hard, and you were right about the huge one. Are your glasses okay? Yep, they weren't damaged at all. Just dusted up a bit. Good. I should go now. See you later. Brandon then ran off. I was glad that he came and apologized. This is the most truest non-fake story ever, and if you doubt me, I'm gonna go to the nearest tree, chop it down, carve it into a wooden sword, and I'm gonna train. I am gonna train. You better fear me. I practice in my local Hunger Games. Okay, here are your results from yesterday's video. Let's see if you guys thought the same story was fake that I thought was fake. Story 1, entitled Mum Tries to Steal My Face Mask. Story 2, EM harasses a disabled child at Disney World. Story 3, racist lady at restaurant cuts in line. Slaps my mother and nearly gets arrested. Story 4, my entitled dad spends my money on his girlfriend's car. And story 5, I need that toilet paper. And although most of you still thought it was true, I thought story 3 was most likely fake. I'll still count it as a win for you guys. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next one.